Thoth revealed a healing secret so powerful, it was hidden from humanity for centuries. And today, you're going to learn exactly how to use this in your own energy field. This technique doesn't require blind faith, nor years of meditation. It works because it targets the exact point blocking your self-healing, the inherited vibrational frequency. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why your body still carries pain that isn't even yours, and what Thoth did to dissolve these hidden memories in less than 4 days. But first, you need to know this. If this video showed up now, it's not a coincidence. It was your own field pulling this information back to you. Thoth used to say that wisdom only reveals itself when the being is ready to remember. And if you're here, it's because something inside you has already started vibrating differently. Now take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear isn't just an explanation, it's a reactivation. Stay with me until the end, because today you're going to unlock a lost ritual and activate a healing no one wants you to discover. Before the body screams, the soul had already whispered. And before the soul, the field was already loaded. Pain doesn't start with you. It passes through you. It comes from before. From a time when even your name didn't exist. You are the last layer of a long vibrational history. Thoth used to say that no one gets sick out of nowhere. Every illness is an unconscious repetition of an unreleased piece of information. You're not broken, you're programmed, and that programming is ancient. You might even think your anxiety is yours, that your guilt is yours, that your insomnia is a personal problem. But what you feel today might have started 100 years ago, in someone who could never cry, never scream, never heal. And that got passed on, not just through words or examples, but through energy, through the field. That's what science today calls epigenetics, the vibration behind the genetics. Scientists like Bruce Lipton have proven the cell responds more to the emotional environment than to the genetic code itself. In other words, it's not your DNA that determines what you're going to live, but the field around it. And your field has been shaped by experiences that aren't yours, fears you never lived, pains you never understood, traumas you've never seen, but that vibrate inside you as if they were yours. This is the invisible inheritance. A child who grows up in an environment of anger learns to store tension in the liver, even if no one ever touched them. A woman who carries the silence of the women in her lineage might develop nodules in her throat without ever having screamed. A man who lives under the weight of his father's emotional bankruptcy, even if financially stable, might carry a constant feeling of failure. This isn't punishment, this is transmitted vibration. The body, in this context, is not the enemy, it's the messenger. It's trying to show you, through symptoms, what your field has learned to hide. Pain is just a call to be heard. Inflammation is just a call for release. Illness is just the final echo of a vibrational collapse that began long before the pain appeared. Thoth said this in different words. He said, "The flesh only obeys the vibration that precedes it. First it vibrates, then it shapes. First it emits, then it manifests." And this is the point that was lost for centuries. Medicine separated the body from the soul. Religion separated the sacred from the everyday. Science separated the visible from the invisible. But Thoth unified everything. He saw the human being as a continuous field, memory, energy, body, and consciousness, all working in intertwined layers. That's why he didn't treat the disease. He treated the field. He searched for the vibrational root of what the body was expressing, because he knew treating the physical without releasing the subtle is like drying the floor with the faucet still running. And what you're about to learn now is how to deactivate those inherited codes. Codes that aren't yours, but are acting as if they were. codes that have been silently passed on, generation after generation, but that can be released with a forgotten vibrational technique. A technique that reprograms the field and starts to dissolve what you carry but never chose to carry. This is the point where everything starts to make sense, because when you understand that you carry inherited vibrational codes, you begin to see that physical symptoms are just the last layer of the collapse. They're the surface. The point where the vibration, already saturated and ignored, overflows. And that overflow comes with familiar names: gastritis, migraines, vertigo, fibromyalgia, or even subtler things that tests can't detect, but the body insists on showing: unexplained fatigue, random irritation, strange sensations on the skin, like something trying to come out. Waking up with a tight chest without knowing why. What few people know is that these symptoms didn't start there. They started in the field. Before the body hurt, the field was already screaming, but no one taught you to listen to the field. No one told you that that sudden anguish might be an excess of stagnant energy in the plexus. That back pain might be ancestral guilt vibrating in the kidneys. That insomnia might be an overload of inherited thoughts, not yours, spinning like loose discs in your mind. Thoth said that everything visible is just the densification of the invisible. All matter is born from a vibration. All pain is the result of a frequency that was ignored for too long. And here's the most powerful detail. The body always gives a warning before it collapses, but it doesn't warn with words. It warns with sensations, with discomfort, with compressed emotion, with energetic unease. It's like a whisper. At first, you feel something different, a slight pressure, a constant chill, a nausea that comes and goes, a sudden urge to cry without knowing why. And if you listen, if you embrace it, if you pay attention, the field reorganizes. The vibration starts flowing again, and the illness doesn't need to appear, but if you ignore it, rationalize it, distract yourself, numb yourself with work, food, or your phone, the field short circuits. And then the body steps in. It starts expressing what the field could no longer hold. That's how the visible symptom shows up. And that's why treating just the body isn't enough. You can take painkillers, run tests, change your diet, but if you don't listen to what your field is saying, the cycle starts over, because the root was never the body, it was the vibration. Thoth taught this in a straightforward way. He said, "The body is the altar, but what moves it is the invisible." He saw pain as a language, an energetic language, and every symptom was a sentence from the field saying, "Listen to me." But in the rush of the modern world, nobody listens to anything anymore. People want to fix the discomfort without hearing what it has to say. They want to get rid of the symptom without understanding its origin. And that's where the cycle of repetition begins. You've probably been through it. You treat a problem, feel better for a while, and then it comes back. Sometimes it changes places, shape, name. But the feeling is the same. Something inside you keeps screaming, and the reason is simple. The field is disorganized. And when the field is out of balance, everything that's born from it carries that distortion. From emotions to thoughts, from behaviors to the physical state. The good news, the field can be read, and more than that, it can be translated. Because Thoth didn't just know how to identify the signals of the field, he left behind methods to interpret them precisely. He taught how to decode what the pain was trying to say before it reached the body. And that's exactly what you're about to start learning now. Because once you understand the language of the field, you no longer need to get sick to make a change. You listen, you embrace, and then you heal. And that's shocking at first, because the mind says, "I want to change," but the field is still trapped in old vibrational packs. You can repeat positive affirmations every day. You can visualize healing, abundance, lightness. But if your field still carries old grudges, swallowed truths, unexpressed pain, that's what keeps being emitted. And the body only responds to the real vibration, not the superficial intention. That's why so many techniques don't seem to work for everyone. It's not that you're doing it wrong. It's that your vibration is still hijacked by frequencies you haven't noticed. Imagine the field as an energy ring spinning around your body. This ring stores not just what you feel, but everything you've avoided feeling. Anger you never released, shame you learned to hide, words you swallowed to keep the peace, losses you never processed, only buried over time. These charges stay there, circulating, and the longer they stay in the field, the denser they become, until they form a kind of invisible prison, a closed loop of low frequency that traps your vital expression. You wake up feeling heavy. It feels like you're fighting something you can't understand, like no matter how hard you try, something always pulls you back. And many times, that something is you, or rather, it's the vibrational version of you that's still stuck in what hasn't been digested. Thoth called this the vibrational ring, a kind of seal that surrounds the field and prevents vital energy from flowing freely. This ring isn't physical, but its effects are. It drains, limits, repeats patterns, attracts the same types of situations, and even blocks healings that should have already happened. And the most curious part is that this ring isn't formed only by big traumas. Sometimes it's the buildup of small ignored pains, day after day, year after year. A comment that hurt you, but you laughed it off. A desire you swallowed so you wouldn't disappoint someone. A sadness you buried with logic. All of it stays there, spinning. And instead of being a free-flowing river, the field becomes a stuck whirlpool. But Thoth didn't see this as punishment. He saw it as an invitation, because every vibrational ring, no matter how dense, can be broken, but not with force, with awareness. Thoth said the ring breaks the moment the denied energy is acknowledged. In the exact instant you stop running from what you feel, and look, with presence, at the frozen emotion. That look is the gesture. The specific gesture of awareness that Thoth taught wasn't physical, it was vibrational. It was the act of turning inward, entering the center of the field, and allowing what's stuck to find its voice, not to cling to it, but to release it. And that's what you're going to learn now. Because when you understand how to access that gesture, the ring starts to dissolve. And the energy that was blocked begins to flow again. That's when everything changes, because it's not enough to understand what's holding you back. You have to choose to break free. And that break doesn't happen outside. It's not an external ritual. It's not a magic spell. It happens inside. At the center of the field, in the place where vibration originates, Thoth said that every vibrational imprisonment only stays active because something within the being consents to it, even if unconsciously, even if unintentionally. That's why the break begins with a choice, a silent decision that echoes through the field with a frequency unlike anything that was there before. It's like saying, enough, but saying it with your soul. This gesture has no physical form, but it shifts the energetic structure that holds the old pattern. Thoth called this the vibrational reversal of command. It's when the field, which until then had been operating in passive mode, receiving old, inherited, automatic commands, activates in a new direction and starts to emit a frequency that breaks the vibrational ring. That's when self-healing begins. Not because everything is resolved, but because now there's finally space for release. And that happens with a simple yet powerful gesture. a gesture that Thoth didn't describe as an external movement, but as a vibrational anchoring. Fragments found in ancient papyri spoke of this practice symbolically, like a key that the field itself recognizes. And now you're going to experience it. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath 3 times. Don't force anything. Just allow the air to flow. Now, place your hand on the center of your chest. No need to press. Just touch it with presence. Feel the warmth of your own hand activating this region. This is where the command point of your field is. And then say firmly, but without strain, I no longer repeat what isn't mine. I release it now. This phrase isn't just a set of words. It's a vibrational command. It acts as a code that breaks the loop of repetition. When spoken with presence, it sends new information to the field, which starts to dissolve inherited records, unconscious bonds, and crystallized emotions. But remember, just repeating it mechanically isn't enough. The field only responds to vibrational truth. So feel each word coming not from your mouth, but from your center. This gesture is more than liberation. It's sovereignty. It's when you stop being a prisoner of invisible patterns and become the creator of your own frequency. It's the moment when the field, once enclosed, opens a crack. A subtle but powerful opening through which energy starts flowing again. And it's exactly in this crack that you can access the hidden symbol that reactivates the self-healing frequency. The field, now lighter and more permeable, becomes able to recognize patterns that were previously blocked. And among these patterns, there is one that is more than ancient. It's sacred. It's not just a symbol, it's a code, a map, a complete vibrational path that leads back to order, regeneration, and the integrity of being. The Ankh. You've probably seen this symbol, a cross with a loop on top, but almost no one understands what it really represents. Because the Ankh isn't decoration, it's not a wall ornament, it's the energetic representation of life imbalance. The mystery schools of ancient Egypt called it the key of life, but the oldest texts spoke of it as a mirror of the original field. The top part, in the shape of a circle, isn't just decorative. It represents eternity, the spirit, the subtle field, everything that is invisible but eternal. The vertical shaft symbolizes the journey of consciousness descending from heaven to earth. The horizontal bar represents the physical plane, the world of matter, form, and experience. And the point where these two axes intersect is where everything reconnects. It's where the spirit touches matter. That's where the field begins to reorganize. Thoth said the Ankh was more than an external symbol. It was an internal reminder, a living geometry present within every being. When the field is aligned, this structure lights up, and energy flows again in its original direction, from the subtle to the physical, and from the physical back to the subtle. That's why so many healings don't happen, because the energy only flows in one direction. It's either stuck in the body or stuck in thoughts. But the Ankh teaches the full flow, from spirit to matter, from matter to spirit. And then, rebirth. Thoth's initiations taught this in silence. There were no speeches. There were gestures. There were symbols. And the Ankh was the most powerful among them. It wasn't given for decoration. It was given as a vibrational tool to remind the initiate that true healing doesn't come from outside. It comes from the point where both worlds meet. And that point is within you. Now that your field is more open, more sensitive, you can feel this symbol activating inside you. You can feel the structure of the Ankh forming in your center. The circular part pulsing in your subtle mind, the shaft descending through your spine, the horizontal bar crossing your chest like an axis of expansion. When this structure is recognized, the field starts to vibrate on a different pattern. There's nothing you need to do yet. Just recognize it, because everything that is remembered reactivates. And that's exactly what Thoth taught. You don't need to look for the Ankh outside. You need to activate the Ankh inside you, because the Ankh isn't an object, it's a frequency. And you're going to learn now how to activate this frequency consciously, like in Thoth's secret initiations. And when you recognize this sacred frequency within yourself, the next step isn't chasing more information, but integration. You don't need to hold a golden Ankh in your hands. You don't need to find a lost ancient object in the deserts of Egypt, because the real Ankh was always within you. Thoth didn't give symbols just to decorate. He gave living structures that activated when the field was ready. And now, with the field open, the symbol lit up, it's time to align your frequency with the original geometry. Not with effort, but with presence. You're not just going to imagine, you're going to feel. Sit with your spine straight, without stiffness. Place your feet flat on the ground. Relax your jaw. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to the top of your head, as if something there is beginning to pulse softly. This is the entry point. Now, visualize a golden spiral spinning counterclockwise, as if opening the light channel through which the energy will descend. This spiral goes straight down through the center of your head, passes between your eyebrows, dives into the center of your chest, and rests there. At this point, the center of your chest, feel the energy accumulating like a warm, vibrant sphere, and then visualize this sphere opening sideways, as if it's growing wings that extend to the sides in a perfectly horizontal line. This is the horizontal bar of the Ankh in you. It's not a drawing, it's a frequency. When this line forms, it starts to pulse. You might even feel tingling, warmth, or a light expansion in your chest area. Stay focused on this point for a few seconds. Then, visualize that same golden spiral continuing its descent, passing through the solar plexus, navel, base of the spine, and reaching the ground. There, it touches the earth and anchors. This is the vertical shaft of the Ankh, your grounding axis in the physical world. Now, with the upper loop formed in the sky, the cross opened in your chest, and the shaft anchored in the earth. You're activating the complete geometry of the Ankh within yourself. You become the reconnection point between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, intention and manifestation. It's not about imagining something pretty, it's about internally reenacting a symbol your soul already knows. This exercise is a silent practice of returning to vibrational wholeness. Don't expect immediate results. Don't force it. Just practice. And here's the secret hidden in the fragments of the initiations. When you sustain this visualization for 3 consecutive days, with sincere attention and conscious breathing, the field begins to change frequency. But the most impressive part is that this transformation requires nothing external. No rare plants, no equipment, no secret formulas. What activates regeneration is a specific vibration, and that vibration only arises from within. Thoth spoke of this thousands of years ago when he described the flow of syntropia, a movement opposite to chaos, where everything tends toward spontaneous harmony. While the world turns around entropy, which dissolves, syntropia reconstructs. But that reconstruction isn't visible to the eyes at first. It starts in the field, and only then touches the matter. To enter this flow, you must align 3 vibrational states. Thoth called this triple coherence. And it doesn't depend on faith, it depends on practice. The first state is unconditional love. Not the conditional love that demands, binds, or expects return, but the kind that flows freely, even when misunderstood. This love isn't a feeling, it's field. It dissolves resistance, softens memories, and calms the nervous system. The second is silent presence without escape, not the silence that hides, denies, or suppresses, but the silence that listens, that holds, that allows the field to reorganize without the noise of the mind trying to control everything. In that state, the field enters neutrality, and it's in neutrality that regeneration begins. The third is presence without anxiety, meaning being where you are without trying to anticipate, correct, or speed up time. It's the vibrational trust that the now contains everything that needs healing. This presence generates stability, and stability is what allows energy to move intelligently. When these three states are sustained simultaneously, even for just a few minutes, the field enters a rare form of coherence. It's as if a crystalline frequency begins emanating silently from within outwards. This frequency can't be created artificially. It can't be bought, simulated, or forced. It can only be emitted when there is truth, and this emission begins to dissolve ancient blockages, stagnant illnesses, and dense vibrational patterns that seemed impossible to shift. Thoth said this frequency was like a light that passes through matter without meeting resistance, because it carries no weight. It carries alignment. That's why many people who practice this vibrational trinity report spontaneous healings, sudden reliefs, unexpected clarities. The field doesn't need time when it finds coherence, it just needs space. And now that you know the three pillars of this activation, you'll discover what happens when this rare frequency is sustained for more than 3 consecutive days, because that's when it touches levels that conventional medicine still considers incurable. And it's precisely at this point, when the new frequency not only enters but begins to stabilize, that something mysterious and profoundly subtle begins. Not an explosion, not a euphoria moment, it's a silent reordering, as if the field, once fragmented, begins aligning cell by cell, atom by atom, memory by memory. It's as if a new harmony, previously impossible, finally has permission to exist. The physical body, this great temple of consciousness, responds first in the most forgotten places, because it's not only thoughts that make you sick, it's the spaces between them. And it's in those intervals that the deepest healing starts to vibrate. What was dormant awakens. What was stuck begins to flow out. Suddenly, without warning, you feel warmth rising from the base of your spine. It slowly ascends, passes through your chest center. It might even reach your throat and the top of your head. But it's not a fever. It's not anxiety. It's activation. It's the subtle field, once compressed by dense layers, now finding a path to circulate. That warmth is vital flow, energy that once stagnated and now moves like a river finding its course. Or you might notice something seemingly small but meaningful, a slight tingling in your fingers, soles, or the back of your neck, as if tiny, almost electrical currents are being reactivated. These are the subtle channels of the energetic body, nadis, meridians, zones of vibrational memory, being unblocked. In others, the process manifests through emotional waves, an old sadness, unexplained, that rises and floods the eyes with tears, a forgotten anger that bursts forth strongly, sometimes without a clear target, or an uncontrollable urge to cry, even when everything's fine. And it is fine. Because all of this is dissolution. It's memory unraveling. It's pain being released. The subtle body stores far more than the mind can recall. It holds words you never spoke, emotions you swallowed for lack of expression, situations lived in silence, pains you thought you'd overcome simply because you stopped talking about them. But nothing disappears from the field by forgetting. It transforms everything into frequency. into silent pulses that keep vibrating until you are ready to let them go. And now, finally, you are. Except the mind, conditioned to control, tries to understand. Why now? Is this a relapse? Am I returning to where I started? But no, because true release has no linear script. It's like nature, organic, chaotic, perfect. The body isn't asking for explanation, it's just releasing. It needs space, and for that it needs you to just allow. And allowing here isn't doing, it's permitting. When you notice the signs, warmth rising, constant shivers, yawns, long sighs, eyes watering without warning, breathe. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of active healing, not a relapse. It's the unprogramming of what used to occupy a place now belonging to your new vibration. Thoth said true regeneration doesn't happen with a shout, but in the silent flow. That a healed body is like a river. It doesn't churn to show strength. It just continues. And that's the flow you're in now. A flow where everything dense begins to dissolve, where inherited codes stop commanding, where what used to be part of your pattern simply fades away. You don't need to force sustaining this state. You just need not to break it. Don't interrupt what's flowing. Don't rationalize what's emerging. Don't judge the sensations that surface. What's coming up now is what always needed to come out. This is the most delicate point of the process, because it's here that the mind wants to interrupt. It wants to interrupt because it doesn't understand. But the field understands, and the subtle body is listening. The symbol has been activated. Coherence has been established. The field is finally ready, and now you're going to receive, for the first time, the complete ritual left by Thoth. Each step, each stage, each frequency he preserved, not for everyone, but for those who made it exactly this far. From the moment the field begins to dissolve, something precious happens. An energetic fissure opens. And this fissure isn't random, nor guaranteed. It's rare. It's a vibrational gap that forms when the old pattern collapses and the new one is still being stabilized. This opening is like an internal portal, and it carries a time window. If not crossed consciously, it closes, and the field returns little by little to its old state. That's why, in this moment, you must act with total presence, with intention, with energetic precision. Thoth, aware of the fragility and power of this moment, left clear instructions, a transition ritual, a procedure that wasn't written in stone, but passed from initiate to initiate, kept alive by word of mouth and silence. A code that should only be activated when the fissure appears, and only at two sacred times, sunrise and sunset. These two moments are crucial because they represent the planet's frequency shifts. At dawn, the field hasn't yet been polluted by human agitation. At dusk, it begins returning to neutral. During these periods, the subtle portals are more accessible, and that's when the ritual becomes most potent. The first stage is breathing, but not automatic breathing. It's conscious, square breathing. In each cycle, inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and keep the lungs empty for another 4. That pattern must be repeated for 4 exact minutes. None of this is accidental. The ancients knew that the number 4 represents the plane of manifestation, 4 directions, 4 elements, 4 moon phases, 4 bodies, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. It's the number that anchors the subtle into the concrete. By breathing this pattern, you literally draw a geometry of stability into your field. The effect starts subtly. Some feel gentle warmth rising through the spia ba mind, others a relaxation that seems to weigh the body down. There may even be slight dizziness or emotional resistance. All of that is a sign the field is being recalibrated. The second stage is the vibrational declaration, and here, it's not about praying, nor about asking. It's about commanding, about energetically affirming the sovereignty of your field. The phrase is simple, but it must come from a place of unwavering decision. May everything that isn't mine return to nothingness. These words should be spoken out loud, but it's not volume that defines strength. It's the vibration with which they're spoken. It's the conviction behind the tone. When you voice this phrase with truth, you're breaking vibrational contracts that were made without your awareness. You're returning inherited pains, familial weights, emotional codes that never truly belonged to you, back to the void. The third stage is anchoring. Here, you close your eyes. Bring attention to the center of your chest and visualize in whatever way you can the symbol of the Ankh appearing there. It might come as a golden dot, it might come as a living cross, it might come as light. The form doesn't matter, the intention does. This symbol, in ancient Egypt, wasn't just the symbol of life, it was the vibrational key that activated regeneration. Seeing it appear, imagine it pulsing with your breath. On the inhale, it grows. On the exhale, it spins. And as it spins, begin visualizing dark threads detaching from it, as if old fragments are releasing from your identity. You don't have to see everything clearly, nor understand what's leaving. You just need to trust and allow. This process must be repeated for 3 consecutive days, always at the same time, without distractions, without haste, with your phone set aside, with your body present, with your soul open. In the first 2 days, you may feel little, and that's expected. The field is still adjusting, but on the 3rd day, the field begins responding more clearly, like an instrument that's been tuned and now emits a pure tone. And if you're able to hold truthfully for those 3 days, on the 4th, something shifts. The vibration stabilizes, the fissure turns into a portal, and the field sends an unmistakable signal that something has, indeed, been rewritten. And that signal doesn't come from the mind, it comes from the body, from the soul, from the sensation that something deep, even if invisible, has been released. And you will learn exactly how to recognize that signal, because it's the milestone of activation, the silent confirmation that your field has accepted the healing. On the 4th day, something begins to move quietly, as if a forgotten gear inside you started functioning without warning. And no, it's not magic, nor coincidence, it's vibration. A new internal architecture begins to govern your body from within. It no longer follows the logic of pain, fear, or rigidity. It's subtle, yet profoundly intelligent. This logic doesn't ask permission from the rational mind because it doesn't come from it. It simply happens, like dawn arriving without fanfare, yet transforming everything. You might notice that old persistent pain, almost your companion on the journey, has lost its power, diminished, or vanished completely, without pills, without external treatment, without effort. Its absence is so unexpected it might even feel strange, and what arises in its place is something hard to describe, a lightness that has no logical explanation, as if an invisible burden you didn't even remember carrying had been lifted. This is the first clear manifestation that the field is responding, the inexplicable lightness. But the process doesn't stop there. Because at the same time this lightness appears, dormant emotions begin to emerge, not with the same impact as before, not like an avalanche, but as memories bidding farewell, images that resurface without resentment. Feelings you thought were overcome, but that were actually just stored. Silent angers, old sadnesses, small shames. All of that may arise, not to hurt you again, but to depart once and for all. This purification is natural, because when the field receives a new frequency, it needs to empty everything that was occupying that space. Just like you can't pour clean water into a container full of mud, you have to remove the residue first. That emptying is what the ancient initiates called vibrational return, the moment when the field, already tuned to the new vibration, begins releasing the old contents that no longer fit. This process can be felt in various ways. Some people cry without knowing why. Others laugh at things that aren't even funny. Some feel an uncontrollable urge to be silent, away from everything, or a sudden desire to wander aimlessly, breathe deeply, or touch nature. These impulses are energy reorganization mechanisms, spontaneous actions that the field itself calls for to stabilize the new vibration. It's essential at this moment that you don't resist. Don't try to understand too much. Don't rationalize. Don't think you're regressing, because this is where many self-sabotage. When emotions surface, they think they're returning to the old state, but they're not. They're actually releasing what remained. They're purifying the container. They're completing the transition. Notice the signs. They differ for each person, but they all share something, a sense of internal decompression, as if a hidden chamber finally opened, as if an emotional lock unlocked effortlessly, as if the body, for the first time, was free enough to just be itself. And it's at this exact, silent, powerful moment that you are ready. Ready for a new phase defined by neither concepts, memories, nor expectations. You're ready to install a new vibrational identity, an identity that doesn't come from the mind, doesn't rely on labels or external validation. It emerges as a field, silent yet potent, invisible to the eyes but undeniable to the one who feels it, an identity that isn't who you think you are, but what the universe recognizes in you when your field finally says, "Now I vibrate in truth." Because the body, now free from the frequency that sustained distortion, needs a new axis to remain whole. Release isn't the end, it's the threshold of a new pattern. An empty field needs a new signature, or it will be refilled by old noise. And it's precisely in this silent but decisive moment that the renewed vibrational identity is born. But attention, it doesn't come from force. It doesn't come from the mind trying to be someone better. It doesn't sprout from spiritual speeches or pretty theories that charm the mind but don't touch frequency. This new identity isn't a role you play to seem elevated. It's not a lofty concept you struggle to sustain. It's an authentic vibrational state, alive. An energetic pulse your field emits without asking permission, without needing to prove anything. A vibration the universe not only recognizes, but honors. And this identity isn't installed by will. It reveals itself when release is complete, when there's no resistance, when you allow what wasn't yours to return to nothingness and stay there. That's why it's so powerful, because it doesn't demand, it doesn't compensate, it doesn't struggle to be or seem something. It simply is. It is pure presence, without noise, a firm silence that vibrates so loudly it dissolves what still tried to survive at the margins of your field. The old pain no longer finds an echo. The trauma no longer has anywhere to lodge. The repetitive pattern no longer finds resonance to keep spinning. It's like trying to power an old machine with an outlet that no longer supplies energy for that circuit. It may try to run, it may make noise, but it can't sustain itself because the field has changed. Disease doesn't return where there's no vibrational field to feed it. Suffering doesn't root in a space that vibrates beyond its reach. And what once made you sick, physically, emotionally, energetically, now tries to come close, but can't find a home. It's naturally rejected, like an incompatible frequency trying to enter a field that no longer recognizes it as familiar. It's like planting a seed of death in soil that vibrates only with life. It doesn't germinate. It doesn't take root. It dissolves before it even tries to exist. And it's in this new soil, already clean and fertile, that you must plant your vibrational seal. Do it with presence, with your hand, with your body already altered by all you've released. Now write, with consciousness and full intention. I vibrate in the original state. I'm not what hurt me. I'm what survived. These words are more than phrases. They are vibrational commands, codes your field receives as alignment passwords, and the universe responds. Because these words don't come from the mind. They emerge from the deepest part of you, where pain no longer rules. They are declarations of vibrational sovereignty. When you state that you are no longer what hurt you, you end the invisible contract that held you to the pattern. When you declare you are what survived, you summon the life force to occupy the space once filled by fear. In that instant, the field stabilizes, the vibration anchors, and healing, which until then seemed like a process, becomes a state. This is the moment when you're not trying to heal anymore. You are already vibrating as someone healed, and it's that vibration that sustains the new field. Without it, the old frequency may return, but with it, the field doesn't just sustain, it expands. And at this exact point in the journey, a new door begins to open. With this activated vibrational signature, you can now access the rarest and most powerful field Thoth described, spontaneous regeneration. It's in this precise moment, silent, yet absolutely transformative, that the field, once fully reorganized, activates what many call a miracle. But the ancient initiates knew it's not supernatural, not a privilege for the few, nor a random event. Spontaneous regeneration is an inevitable consequence when coherence is fully restored. Thoth said, "Every disease is an echo of disorder." Therefore, true healing doesn't begin in the body. It begins in the field that informs the body. And when that field returns to its original form, the illusory structure that sustained the symptom collapses. It's the breakdown of distorted vibrational architecture, the crumbling of the frequency that held pain in place. In that state, the body no longer needs to fight to survive. It can finally remember how to live. The struggle dissolves. Effort retreats. And in place of tension, rebirth emerges. Every cell, like a small conscious universe, receives the new vibrational signature and begins operating by it. Tissues reorganize. Body systems, lymphatic, endocrine, digestive, nervous, align with the new field. The liver understands. The heart responds. The brain collaborates. It's like a symphony that, after years out of tune, begins playing in the exact timing of truth. But this doesn't happen by magic, nor by luck. Thoth recorded precisely, spontaneous regeneration is only possible when three sacred elements are present and fully active. First, real emotional release, not superficial crying. It's the collapse of vibrational attachments that kept pain alive, even when the body tried to heal. Second, restructured vibrational field. A new pattern must be installed and maintained as the dominant frequency. Without it, healing won't hold. It's like renovating a house but leaving the foundation rotten. Third, and most forgotten, conscious maintenance of the new state. Because if coherence isn't maintained, the field returns, and with it, the disease too. That's why the initiates taught, Healing is not an end, it's a frequency to be sustained. But how to sustain this in everyday life? With simple but deeply transformative practices. The first is coherent breathing. This isn't just a relaxation technique. It's an alchemical tool for realignment. It was used in ancient initiation temples to reprogram the nervous system, activate the brain's right hemisphere, and silence the world's noise. Coherent breathing means inhaling with intention, holding with presence, exhaling with release. Use the 4-count pattern. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Do this for 5 minutes, preferably upon waking or before sleeping. Notice, your vibration begins to shift, your internal rhythm aligns with the universe's breath, and the field stabilizes day by day. The second practice is even more powerful, and at the same time, the most neglected of all: words. Few understand the impact language has on the field, but every word is sound, and every sound is form. When you speak, you imprint codes in your vibrational field. Each phrase you repeat is a command sent to your energy structure. So after a healing process, your words must change. Phrases like, "my disease," "my problem," or "this always happens to me," are molds of the old field. Repeating them is like gluing back together pieces of pain you took so long to undo. You need to speak the new, even if at first it feels strange. Even if the mind still resists, say, "I am regenerating. My body is responding intelligently. I vibrate in harmony with what strengthens me." These aren't motivational phrases. They are energetic commands. Each one redraws your vibration, and the more you repeat them, the more the field anchors in the new configuration. It's not about pretending everything's okay. It's about affirming what's being born so it has space and strength to grow. But this is where many fall. They feel improved, then relax. They stop coherent breathing. They stop monitoring their words. They return to external distractions, and the field, still stabilizing, fragments again. It's like extinguishing a fire but leaving embers. A single breath, and everything's back. Spontaneous regeneration is not a one-time event. It's a state of being. And that state needs daily presence, loving vigilance, gentle firmness. Now that your field has been redesigned, it's time to protect it, because the next step, often ignored but most decisive, is vibrational shielding. Now that the field has been redesigned, it pulses at a new frequency, but remains essentially delicate. It's fresh, permeable, sensitive like newly healed skin. And in this interval, the field is most vulnerable to old resonances. Because even if you've healed internally, the outside world still shouts the same commands of fear, scarcity, pain. And if this new field isn't protected, it will gradually be drawn back to the previous vibration without you noticing. That's why vibrational shielding is indispensable, not like a hardened war shield, but a living membrane, breathable, sensitive, and selective. A field that knows what to absorb and what to reject, that welcomes light but repels dissonance, that expands with love but stiffens against noise. This shielding doesn't build with force, but with vibrational intelligence. And the first step is learning to recognize, without judgment, what drains your frequency. Environments, words, people, music, information, all of this either feeds your field or consumes it. And the body always warns. If you enter a place and your chest tightens inexplicably, if your breath shortens, if you feel your mind race or your mood darken, listen, this isn't drama, it's a vibrational alert. Your field is telling you, this frequency doesn't nourish me. We often ignore these signs. We rationalize. We think we're being dramatic or overly sensitive, But Thoth taught that the body is the spirit's first radar, and when you learn to trust these subtle impulses, you begin living in alignment with your deepest protection. The first stage of shielding, then, is consciously stepping away from environments and stimuli that collapse your vibration. It's not about cutting off angry people or isolating yourself from the world. It's about maturely choosing which cycles you wish to sustain. If an emotional space constantly pulls you into drama, conflict, guilt, that space is deprogramming your healing, and it's your responsibility to leave it with love and firmness. The second stage is actively installing vibrational codes that seal your field. Here, you speak with authority. You acknowledge that a new frequency is already anchored in you, and you verbalize it as a decree. These aren't generic motivational phrases. They're vibrational commands. They must be spoken out loud, with presence, like someone imprinting a symbol into their own energy field. Nothing external can undo what has already been realigned in me. What vibrates in me protects me. What sustains me guides me. I am shielded by a truth that now lives in me. These words work as reinforcement codes. They create geometric lines in your subtle field, like an invisible grid that holds the new shape. When spoken with presence and feeling, they remind the body that it's safe in this new vibration, and the more you repeat them, the more the field stabilizes. But there's still one step many people ignore: the continuous nourishment of the field. Shielding isn't just about keeping out what hurts, it's about feeding what strengthens. And that's done through vibrations that support elevation, beauty, silence, and gratitude. Gazing at the sky at dawn, putting your hands in the earth, listening to music that calms you, enjoying the sunlight on your face, sitting in silence without trying to fill the space, being thankful for the small synchronicities of the day. Each of these simple gestures sends pulses of light into your field. Thoth used to say that true protection doesn't come from brute force, but from frequency, and that the highest frequency of shielding is coherence. When you live in coherence with what you've healed, nothing external can find cracks to enter. The field becomes congruent. Every action vibrates with intention. Every word reinforces healing. Every thought echoes the new pattern. And when that happens, healing doesn't just hold, it grows. But there's something even greater than protecting your healing. It's learning how to expand it beyond yourself. It's when your field begins to influence others, not through force, but through resonance. And that's exactly what we're opening up now: how to make sure this healing isn't just yours, but becomes a vibrational path for those around you. You made it this far for a bigger reason. It wasn't just about relieving a pain. It was about remembering who you were before the wound. And now that the field has been realigned, the vibration restored, and the body is pulsing again with its original memory, the cycle needs to close. But Thoth used to say, a cycle only closes when it expands. True healing doesn't end with you. It moves, it spreads, it overflows. Because once the healing frequency is activated, it needs to circulate to stay alive. Have you ever noticed how a word that touched your soul echoed in you for days? How one sincere gesture from someone changed your whole week? That's vibrational transmission, and now you're the one carrying that signal. If this activation happened in you, it can affect your surroundings. Your presence starts to influence those around you without needing to convince anyone. Because the field speaks, energy communicates, silence vibrates louder than any speech. And when that vibration enters a space, it shifts the subtleties. A look softens, a behavior lightens, a conflict dissolves before it even starts. Healing moves like wind, unseen but felt. So don't keep it just for yourself. Speak, even if just a few words. Write, even if just for yourself. Share, even in small gestures. Because when you release the frequency you received, the field opens even more. This is when you stop being just someone who was healed and become a vibrational seed planted in time, a seed that will grow through conversations, connections, children, friends, strangers who cross your path. And if you still think it's too little, remember, it only takes one body in coherence to shift the vibration of an entire space. So now, write in the comments, I reactivated my field. The healing already lives in me. That's your vibrational confirmation, your signature in the field. And don't leave just yet, because a new video has been selected especially for you, and it's going to expand this frequency into areas of your life that still need light. Click on the screen now. Let's activate the next level together.